Hi, I want to show you how to do this assignment, which is essentially capturing footage from a videotape. Now, when you're in the VML, if you go over to the cage, the desk area where they give out equipment, you can ask them for the Gunsmoke Mini DV or the Gunsmoke tape. They should have 3 or 4 copies there. This tape contains footage from an old black and white television show called Gunsmoke. It's a little, overkill for what we need, but it's okay. It's interesting footage, and if you've ever seen the TV show, it's kind of entertaining to work with a clip of it. We're only going to be using probably not much more than 2 minutes of this tape at the very beginning of the tape. So when you get the tape, you have to sign out for it, bring it over to one of your workstations. You want to put it in the machine and rewind the tape to the beginning. Now, I'm assuming you've already familiarized yourself with the workstation. You've sat down, you've taken out your portable hard drive, you've found the FireWire cable, you've connected your hard drive. And I'm also assuming that the hard drive has shown up as an icon on your desktop and you've opened it up. Just like you're seeing here, I've opened up my hard drive called SRA Backup, I think it is. And you can see there's my EMF 222 folder. I haven't launched FireWire, I haven't launched Final Cut Pro or anything like that. I'm just looking right now at the desktop. And you've already got that tape, and you've slipped that tape into the mini DV deck that's there. Now, if you have any hardware problems with connecting or any of that stuff, check with one of the folks in the cage, one of the monitors. If there's any problem, they should hopefully get you up and running. So this is what you're going to do. It's essentially what I did in class. You're going to double-click on the folder for EMF 222, and in there you already have a subfolder called assignment number 1. Double-click on that, and in there you're going to have a lot less than I have here, but let me hide some of this stuff so it doesn't confuse you. But you are probably going to have something called Capture Project, and then these 3 folders: audio, render file, capture scratch, and render files. Well, whatever you called that project, we already created it and saved it in class. That'll be the name you used. I happen to have 2 of these here. I'm going to use this one here called assignment number 1 project. When I double click on this project file, that will automatically launch Final Cut Pro, and it'll put me right into my project file, in which I've made all those settings. So here we go. We're double clicking. Take a moment for Final Cut Pro to come up. There's the Final Cut Pro splash screen. It's loading in. Takes a few moments. There's a lot to do it. Also, I'm doing this on my laptop, so it's quite a bit slower. Okay, and here we are. We're on my project. Now, the screen area that you're viewing for the screencast is only part of the screen, and it follows my cursor. So I'll just look around here. You can see these are all the basic screens. And as you can see here in this window here called the browser, you can see all I have is something called Sequence 1, and it's pretty much empty. We're going to get into more detail in the next class about what all these windows are about and how you use them. But right now what matters is that this is where your footage is going to appear as you capture it. Okay, let's do a few checkups first, and this is what we did in class. Remember this. First I'm going to go Final Cut Pro, and I'm going to look at the system settings, and that brings up this window, which we're going to see many times. This is the scratch disk window, and we're going to check, is it set to my hard drive? It is. SRA Backup, that's my hard drive. That's my folder, EMF 222, my class folder, and that's the subfolder for this assignment. So this still looks all good. That's where video capture is going to go, video render is going to go, and audio render. So we're good to go. I'm going to say OK. So now I'm going to go and start to import. Now I've already put my Gunsmoke videotape into the video machine, the video deck, And I've pressed rewind on the video deck, so I've gone all the way back at the beginning of the tape. If you haven't done rewind on the tape, you could also do it from this log and capture screen. So under File, I'm going to choose Log and Capture. Here it is. That's going to take a few moments while it initializes. And there it is, Log and Capture. By the way, just as we did in class, you can see we have these three tabs. We're going to come back to this logging window in a second, but we can look at capture settings. Make sure that it says device control FireWire NTSC and capture input DV-NTSC 48 kilohertz. That's good news. You can even recheck your scratch disk yet one more time again. There's that screen again. Yep, looks okay. All right. Now I'm going to go into, well, here's clip setting. I could mess with things here. I'm not going to. We're going to go into our logging. Now, as I told you in class, we don't need all of these different windows. So I'm going to uncheck these. All I need is the real name or number and then some name for this first capturing that I'm doing. So I'm going to call the real Gunsmoke. And I'm going to call the description, I'm going to give it a number 1. So this is my first attempt at capturing. I think I can capture this whole thing in one shot. All right, now remember the whole thing that we're going to capture is at 2 minutes and some odd seconds. We'll see once I do it here. And it's at the head of the tape. So I want you to capture from the beginning of the tape until you get to about this scene that I'm going to tell you to stop at. Okay, I'm all set. Everything looks good. The tape is in. Now, here's one way of doing it. You can press Now, and look what happens. It says, waiting for time code. Device must be in the VTR mode when the device control is enabled. So, it's waiting for me to press the play button on the deck, which you can't see because this is a screencast, but I've got my finger on the play button, and I'm going to hit play now. So let's see what happens. I've hit play. And there it is. Okay, so it says dropped frames. Let's hit OK. Is it going to work? Well, maybe not. Okay. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to hit Now. It's waiting for time code, and I'm going to press play. One more time. Here we go. Now it seems to be working. So this is good. So here it is. We're capturing this stuff coming off of the tape. Now, you might, when you're capturing, you might discover that there's black before all of this. I think I had some, but I must have dubbed it out in one of the copies. I'm working from a copy of the videotape. So, whatever you do, start at the beginning of the tape that you've got, and it'll probably be just before this scene. So you notice this tape has got a number of different scenes, or it's got a number of different clips taken from different camera setups. This is our second camera setup, but we're capturing all this as one stream, one continuous clip. So we have this. Now, by the way, you're not hearing any sound because I purposely chose the version that I have at home with me. Doesn't have sound so that I could talk while I'm showing you this. The tape that you're going to be using from the VML has audio, and so you should be able to hear or you should be able to get the audio as well as the picture. If you have a problem with the audio, don't freak. We're mostly concerned with just getting the images in first and dealing with all the technicalities of doing this first. So this is just about where we're going to end. It goes black. Now you hit the escape button. It's the upper left-hand corner. Escape. That stops the capturing. Then we get a little bit of this, analyzing the DV audio, validating the audio data. There's a little crunching that's going on. Now you at the media, at the VML, probably the machines are much faster there, so you probably won't see all of this silliness going on and having this kind of delay. Essentially, the video deck should have stopped, and voila, let's look over here, and now in this browser, where there was just sequence, there's now something called number 2. Remember, I had that false start. I had that wrong one. So it actually incremented the number, and it started on number 2. So here is the clip. You can verify that this is the clip. First of all, you can go over to this log and capture window, and you can close it. You can go into here, and by double-clicking on this icon, it should bring up your clip. And here's the clip. And you can watch this clip in a lot of ways, right? You can drag, this is called the playback head, this little yellow triangle, and you can drag that playback head and you can scrub through all of that video clip. There's information, by the way, let's go back to the beginning. There's information up here. This number here, this is how much time is contained in that video clip. 1 minute, 33 seconds, 10 frames. So there you go. It was actually only 1 minute, 33 seconds. You can also play it just like with using these VCR buttons. So you hit play. Now I'm not hearing the audio. That's because the audio was not included so that I could talk over this. But you may actually have audio and you may be able to hear it. Again, if you don't worry. We're trying to get this first part of being good and fluent and comfortable by getting digital video into the computer and saved. So it all looks like it's there. I'm going to press stop. And here's the last thing you do right after you complete, after you get some video captured, is go File, and I want you to Save Project. What that does, or you can go File and you can go Save All. Save All means it confirms that all this material that you've captured is definitely captured, and that this particular project knows where that footage is. And that's it for the assignment. Logging and capturing and putting these clips, putting this clip in the browser. But let me show you a few more things to take you the next step. Now, for those of you who are familiar with editing, then you'll probably be familiar with this, but those who aren't, here's one basic thing you can do. You can take this clip, click on it, and drag it over to this window down here. This is the timeline. So I'm going to put it on the timeline. You'll notice when I let go, I've got a blue line. That's the actual video track, and I've got a green line. Those are the audio tracks. Now, on this timeline, I also have a yellow playback head, which I can back up. Look at this. As I back up, you're seeing up in this window, in this corner, you're seeing the footage. You're seeing it here, and you're seeing it here. And one of the things I'm going to explain to you in class is the difference between these two windows. What is this window used for, and what does it show? And what is this window used for, and what does it show? But mostly important is just to understand there's a relationship between this timeline and then the output on this, which is called the canvas. This thing's called the viewer, this thing's called the canvas, this thing's called the sequence or the timeline. By the way, this sequence or timeline is represented in this little icon called sequence here. I can click on this and change the name, like change and call it My First Sequence. And if I hit return, what that will do is that will actually change the tab name here of My First Sequence. So you understand that this is a blow up, or this is actually a full rendered version of what this is an icon of. So this relates to this, and this clip inside it, these two, this blue video line and these two green audio lines, they reflect this clip dragged onto here. Once you've done all this, you don't have to drag onto the timeline. Once you've done a save all, then do what I showed you in class. To back out of here, you're going to go first, close project, and second, quit Final Cut Pro. Once you've done that, you're ready to eject your hard drive and go on home. Or if you're excited about this, stick around and start messing with this. Start cutting it up and editing it up and trying various things. If you haven't got a clue of what to do, That's fine. You can wait until the next class when we do some editing. By the way, here's my project file right here. It's assignment number 1 project. It's still there. Here's my Capture Scratch folder. And as you'll see in here, disregard this stuff called Capture Project. You'll see in here we got assignment number 1 project. If I look in there, there is my clip. Right there, number 2. And by the way, if I pull over here, you can begin to see how big it is. It's 353 megabytes. That's about a little more than a third of a gigabyte. When we're doing DV-NTSC, which is what you're doing when you're using mini DV tape, which is a standard definition or SD video format, the data rate is very predictable and very consistent. It's constant. It's about 1 gigabyte for every 5 minutes. So we didn't go for 5 minutes. We went for about a third of 5 minutes, 1 minute and some odd seconds there. And that's why this represents about a third of a gigabyte. It just happens to be like that. High definition video can be a lot bigger. It can be a gigabyte a minute practically almost. Depends on the codec. And we're going to get more into codecs. So remember, when you're done, make sure to eject your disk first, wait for it to disappear from the desktop, and then you can unplug your drive, go home, bring that drive back for class day, and we should do well. All right. Good luck.